Welcome to Dressmaking Amore. In this video, we're going to make this super cute and super simple Clio sweatshirt. It's really soft, comfortable, and has a beautiful, relaxed fit, and it's easier to make than you think. To make this sweatshirt yourself, get the sewing pattern at the link in the description, where you will also find all of the sewing tools that I recommend. Here are the materials needed. 1.4 meters, or around 1.5 yards of a medium weight knit fabric, matching thread, machine needle for stretch fabric, such as stretch, jersey, or ballpoint, glass head pins, scissors, and our Clio sewing pattern. I've already made several of these sweatshirts, a blue and a mauve one. Both of these are made with a sweater fleece. It's a really soft fabric with enough stretch and structure to hold the shape. And today I'll be showing you the process using mauve sweater fleece. Now, usually it's recommended to wash your knit fabric before using it to account for any shrinkage that could happen, but because I'm using this sweater fleece, the best way I recommend to prep the fabric without losing that fresh look and without creating any lint on the fluff would be to give it a good steam and a press. This applies to the fabric, but you can of course wash and dry your finished garment as you would normally. I go over what fabric and how much of it you need in more detail in the pattern instructions, which come along with your sewing pattern. And before we get started, please do click that like button down below and subscribe for more dressmaking videos. Let's begin! Place the front and back right sides together, pin, and sew the shoulder seam. For stabilizing, you can use either stay tape or a clear elastic here. Press the shoulder seams towards the front. This way you won't be able to see the seams on the finished garment from the front-facing view. Sew the neckline binding into a circle. Press the seam allowances to opposite sides to avoid fullness at the edge and the seam. Fold the binding in half and press, slightly stretching the edges of the band to form a circle. Don't stretch the folded edge, but instead gather it a bit. As you are slightly stretching the outside edge of your binding, shrink the inner edge with the tip of your iron. In a circular motion, heat and cool your binding so to form and remember the right shape. Mark the quarters of the band and on the neckline edge. Pin the neckline binding into the neckline matching the quarter marks and then pin in between. Sew, slightly stretching the binding edge, not stretching the neckline of the sweatshirt. Start sewing close to the shoulder seam because this will give you a clean back neckline seam. Then you can hide the serger threads into the seam like I'm doing here. Press the neckline with the seams facing towards the sweatshirt. And all of your seams should be pressed and cooled in the process. This means that when you're cooling it down with a tailor's clapper, you don't move the fabric until it's completely cool. This allows the stitches to sort of meld together and hold the fabric better, getting rid of any waviness at the same time. This way you're going to achieve a professional look and a well-made garment. Top stitch around the neckline binding 2 mm from the seam, securing the seam allowances and stabilizing the neckline. Pin the sleeves into the open armhole, matching the mark on the back of the sleeve with the mark on the back armhole, as well as matching the sleeve mark with the shoulder seam, and then pinning in between. Sew the sleeves into the armhole. Press the armhole seam allowances towards the sleeves. Pin the side seam of the sleeve and the bodice. You can do this 2 cm from the edge so that your pins won't get in the way of your serge. Sew. Press the side seams towards the back. Take your cuff and fold it right sides together and pin the short side. Sew. And do the same for your second cuff. To avoid fullness at the edge or at the seam, press the seam allowances towards opposite sides. Pin the cuffs inside the sleeves right sides together, matching the sleeve seam with the cuff seam. sew evenly, slightly stretching the cuff. Press the seam towards the sleeve. Sew the side seams of the waistband. Press the seam allowances towards opposite sides here as well. Fold the band in half and press. Here I'm going to show you how to create a regular hem to the sweatshirt. If you would like to make a split hem, skip ahead to this timestamp here in the video. Mark the centers of the waistband. Mark the centers of the front and the back of the waistband itself at the hem too. Pin the waistband into the sweatshirt, matching the side seams and the center marks. Then pin in between the marks. Sew the waistband. Press the seam towards the bodice. Here's how to make that split hem. Place the band right sides together and sew the side seam, only 1 centimeter from both edges. Don't forget a backstitch. Make sure you have center marks on your band, otherwise you will end up with uneven corners. Take one side of the band and fold it at the center mark and pin the edge. Sew from the fold to the intersection of the seams. Stop, backstitch, and then sew the other corner in the same way. Turn the corners inside out. And sew the other side in the same way. Take one side of the band and fold it at the center mark and pin the edge. Sew from the fold to the intersection of the seams, stop, backstitch, and then sew the other corner in the same way. Pin the band into the sweatshirt, matching the side seams and the center marks. Sew and press the seam. Give your garment a finishing press, cooling it to give it a professional look, and we are done with our comfy Clio sweater. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this inspires you to sew a beautiful sweatshirt for yourself. You will find the sewing pattern that we used down below linked in the description. Happy sewing!